All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board, for the board. We hope that you enjoy. Welcome to episode 242 of the KissFAQ Podcast. It's too early on a Saturday morning, but here we are.
Well, for you it's early. It's me. It's 10:30, but I don't get a lot of sleep anyway, so I'm one of those people.
Okay. Well, obviously, I've got Andy joining me today, and we're just going to recap a few things that Andy's been involved in, Andy's done. It's an Andy episode. It's an Andy world. We just all live in it.
No. Don't say that, because then you're going to get people yelling, "Oh, I hate that guy. Oh, my God, he's going to let him take over, blah, blah, blah." Where you want to go?
First of all, a message to those people who maybe don't like you, who you've just mentioned. Turn off now, because now you know what we're doing, and we're going to have a nice long chat, and if you're not into it, that's cool. We don't mind. We're going to still have our chat regardless. So, let's talk about some of the things, because I saw you in New York, obviously, for the Madison Square Garden show, and you'd done the night before in Boston. Had you done any other shows around there as well? Did you Mohegan?
Basically, we did 4 shows in 6 days. We decided to go, maybe some people do know or don't know, is that I had set up some kind of like events, right before, a gathering. I'm just called it like the old day, gathering of people, people around, and basically contact some local bars and stuff and ask them if they like an invasion of Kiss fans just come and hang out, and you're gonna make a lot of money at the bar, drinking, eating, whatever. And basically, the bar said yes. Jeff and I had set up. Jeff Hawkins, my good buddy from Washington. Hey, Jeff. Basically had set him up, and we originally had set up. I had originally set up Boston, because that's from around. And Jeff says, "Hey man, let's do one in New York for the hell of it too." I said, "Okay." So we started contacting some bars, and there was an Irish rock bar basically right across from the Hotel Pennsylvania on that street there. And contact on it, and then they disappeared. They're like shut down. You're like, oh my God, what now we're gonna do? And I'm like, wait a minute. The next bar was the Stout, flagship Stout, and when the expo there with the one with Peter was there, Six Man had a meeting for people who were going on the cruise downstairs in that bar, and so we contacted them, and they just like jumped right on. Oh yeah, we'll let you have the downstairs, and oh my God, insane. So anyways, Kim and I decided it was her weekend off from work, and we don't work Fridays, the two of us. So we're like, hey, man, Kiss is playing down on Long Island. Yeah, let's take a shot. Let's go down to Long Island. So I was like, okay. And I contacted a bar called the Hurricane, which is about a mile away from the arena, and they just jumped on within seconds. Email, sure, come on. So and I'm like, oh, cool. So we said we'll go down there, hang out, and I made stickers. Actually, I have a couple right in front of me. That's just, and I had made them for like everywhere. It said like I was there, Boston, and it has the date on it. And I made one for Long Island, New York City, and basically we just sat at a table. We're like giving them out free. And so in Long Island, we did this place at the Hurricane. I was so happy. I walk into the bar, and they had a blanket hanging. And they had one of those LED Kiss signs, and it said they're going to raffle them off for free. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. And then they said free shots. They'll get everybody free shots. I'm like, wow, this is nuts. And I only set this up within a week and a half. I didn't even know about it. We just walked in, and they ended up being like probably, I don't know, maybe like 75 of Kiss fans you could tell. And then there was some regular pay because, the basketball thing was going on too. But they loved it, and they wanted me back. They like this. And I'm like, I don't even know if they're coming back. It's the first time I've ever been here. And if anybody saw, which I won't give out addresses or anything, just to be respectful for now. I know people will find it sooner or later and stuff. Also, I took Kim on a journey. I found where Gene's mother is buried. They don't have the headstone yet. It takes 6 to 8 months or 9 months, but the thing is there. The family's there. So she's, find out where she's buried, and also find out where she lived. For 30 years, because when I went there, and the day was kind of cold, rainy, it was really raw, and we went to the house, but we were respectful, we stayed away from the house, and a guy came out next door, a neighbor came out, and he started talking to me. He was a nice guy, And I said I didn't want to make any problems stuff. We were just here. We just found out who this house was this week, and I just wanted to come down and just show, without really showing, you know. And the guy says, "Oh no, she was a great lady. She lived here for 30 years, and we were friends for 18 years." So the guy was telling me, but he did say that they had cleaned out the house and stuff like that. And there were a couple cats roaming around, so they could be her cats. I don't know. And then we decided to leave, and a woman opened the door and came at the door and was calling for the cats. So I don't know if they had somebody like watching the house or it was somebody relative. I don't know. So anyways, that was kind of fun. And then I dragged him to Amityville. Jeez, I can't even say if I say that right.
Amityville.
Thank you. Where the old Daisy was, it's not there anymore. It's just a parking lot to a bank. So, and also right around the corner down there is the original Amityville horror house that the guy, he killed all 6 of his, mother, the wife, and all the kids. So he killed 6 people with the guns and stuff, or a gun, and then went up the street around the corner, which was a bar, but now it's a fish and chip place. And he went hanging out with his buddies drinking. And he's like, "Hey man, I can't get in touch with my family." He literally slaughtered them, walked up the street, and then started sitting at the bar, started drinking. Crazy. And so the movie's based on that house. The house has changed because they were sick of people like. The day the movie was released, going down there, hanging out. The people, the original owners, they were getting sick of people, so they changed the windows and stuff. But the thing outside, like the little balcony and the side, you can tell it's definitely the house, and it's a little street, and you can't park there. You can't park anywhere in that whole street. And so I mean, it's right there. So it went by kind of quick, and they didn't do the movie there. They did the movie. They basically based that house on it, and they moved it to made a Reed thing over in New Jersey. Did somewhere in New Jersey. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name off the top of my house where they did in New Jersey, but that was that. So I mean, we were kind of in the area, and then we drove back, and then like I said, we did the party. I had only stickers there. Did that. Went to the show. Stayed overnight. I'm glad I stayed overnight because long travel and traffic, everything doesn't seem that far, but it's far enough. And then on the way back, it's about a 4.5 to 5 hour, depending on the traffic. We stopped in Connecticut because Kiss was playing in Mohegan Sun,
right.
And it was sold out. And I'm like, man, I didn't get any tickets because we were going on the Kiss cruise. We bought the Boston ones. I'm like, I'll get. And they were gone. So, anyways, we got there. I stood in line for about 2.5 hours on a wait list line. All the tickets that might get kicked back. And then somebody walked by. A lady walked by. Kim sat down in a different area, and somebody said, "Oh, I got comp tickets. Bingo. There it is. Take them. Thank you. I'll take them." And the funniest story is that. The funniest thing about that whole thing is that we had 12th row in Long Island, and the balloons, the balloons that drop, the hard to get balloons. I don't know, it's 12 or 16 of them. Somebody counted 12 or 16. And they had some silver ones that had nothing on it that they would just drop for fun.
That's of course the one that I got.
Is that like a joke or something? Or somebody's playing games with that?
Oh, I don't know.
It's kind of funny.
Maybe it's just an extra one, but of course, Julian ends up with a silver one with nothing on it.
And you popped it, right? Did you just get rid of it?
No, it exploded in my face.
Oh, jeez, that's nice.
Yeah, I had a sharp nail, and I grabbed it, and exploded.
Oh, yeah. So we were in the 12th row, and so we're like on the edge before that big aisle there. So that's why we're more on the Tommy side, but on the aisle going towards the middle. So, anyways, a black one came our way, and I went up to grab it because it was in my reach. I had it, and I started bringing it down. When I got to about to here. The guy right next to me punches it out of my hands. What do you think happens? What the are you thinking, dude? And the guy just went, and he shrank down. I'm like, serious? Are you serious? And the guy he might probably just like one of those guys who never saw Kiss. I'm just gonna come see it, and I'm gonna punch the balloon. I was just like, oh my god, So, anyways, we're like, that's that, But so we go. So now we skip to like Connecticut, right? So here we are in Connecticut, behind the soundboard, like straight across, but up. And I videotaped. If you see on my Facebook page, I videotaped. Do you love me? And the balloon's going off, and I'm like, Kim, there's no way a balloon's gonna. Next thing, a black one kind of comes away about 10 feet, and she goes to grab it. She's turning. She's trying to grab it. Kim, she's small. She's not even 5 feet tall. She's trying to reach 10 feet. She thinks she could, super arms to reach. She's not gonna reach it. Next thing, I see a white one, and I stop recording. And this guy goes to punch the white one, and he spins it, and people laugh at him. He goes to hit it again, it spins. The next guy in front of him hits it, it spins. I'm like, this is nuts. I said, I'll hit it. I went to go like this, reach up to go punch it, and I grabbed it. Thank you. Pull it down. I go, Kim, look. She turns around, and the thing's like this massive. The things are big. And she's like, oh, my God. And, of course, you flip it over, and it happens to be, it's a Paul one, too. She's even kind of cooler, for her. I'm like, here you go. And it's got confetti all over it. But I couldn't get it untied. So all the rest of the show, I'm like standing there, and I'm like, man. And then, of course, the show ends. I'm walking around. I'm like out of steam, going, man, somebody's gonna pop this song. I'm like looking around to make sure nobody would do anything. People are laughing. Even one of the security guy going, "You can't take that, sir, out of the building." I'm like, what? And the guy goes, starts laughing.
That is so funny. I love that.
Yeah. I was like, what? And the guy goes, no, go ahead. So, anyways, I was like, seriously, and so. Because I was so much in a frame of mind, man, I just got to get this out of here without getting crushed. And of course, when you get out of it, you're in a casino and there's still tons of people walking around. I'm like, with a big giant balloon. So the first time we've ever parked, like in the place, but outside, and it was cold and windy, and I got a giant balloon with confetti. So now we open it up like a vacuum, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm trying to get to the car, and Kim's like, please open the trunk. She opens the trunk, and I'm like, hon, it's not gonna fit in the trunk. Are you serious? I'm like, oh my god. So I started moving. I didn't have much stuff, and glad, but I'm like, pull this damn thing. We got it in without popping it, and then we get home. So now we get home. I get it home, and I can't get it in the back door. It's too big to fit in the back door. I'm like, we got to go through the front door. I'm like, because my back door is a little bit small from the older days than the newer days. So I get in the front door. So now it's still sitting there, inflated, still sitting there. So it's still up. And then the next day was Sunday. Sunday was just, the Scots, the guys from Scotland came in because they were going to go to the Boston show and New York show. So they flew into Boston. And then they wanted to come check out my house, and I said, "Hey, stay the night." So basically, they flew in, dropped their bags at their hotel in Boston. I told them, "Why'd you even get a hotel?" But anyways, they got a hotel for the 2 nights. They jumped on the train, and then I picked them up and brought them to my house, and they stayed all night. And I had picked up Jeff and Denise from Washington. They flew in. I picked up them in Boston earlier in the day, like 4:30, in the traffic there, and they're like, "Oh my god!" So I picked them up. Yeah, 10 minutes. I said, I'll be there in 10 minutes. I was waiting for them. Oh, I'll be there in 10 minutes. An hour later. That's how much traffic there is in Boston in the areas to get to the airport to pick up people. And then, they came, we hung out. And then all of a sudden, they said, hey, on Monday, man, can you take us to Gloucester? And I'm like, dude, Gloucester? That's like on the other side of Boston for an hour. It's like an hour and a half drive. Not that it's bad, but I said, we have to get on the right side of traffic. They're like, where you want to go? They wanted to go to... what's that? Wicked Tuna. Thank you. So Wicked Tuna. They wanted to see where it was filmed and stuff like that. So I brought him there, and one of the boats was there. And I don't know. He said the guy that's the jerk, I guess, about on the thing. I don't know the show that well.
Yeah, I don't watch it. But for anyone who doesn't know what Wicked Tuna is, it's basically tuna fishing off the coast, and all the drama that comes with running a business fishing boat, and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, and we talk like this, as you see, some people can understand that this is, and so there isn't even worse than mine. The New England accent,
Well, I'm pretty sure that when it came to accents that weekend, if you compared yourself with the Scots,
I'm used to them now from all the Kiss cruises, so I'm used to them. So
yeah.
I actually can understand them, except for when they all talk together at the same time. That's when it gets confusing. When they all start talking to you at the same time.
Let me just give you a quick story on Scottish accents. When I moved back to Glasgow in 1992, I got a job down in Clydebank working in a McDonald's, and I had to quit after a day because I couldn't understand a bloody thing anyone was saying in Clydebank. And obviously, it was industrial dock and all that, and I could not process. And I just look in shame. I went to the churchyard where my grandmother's buried in Glasgow, and just with pure shame looked down. I'm sorry, I don't understand what our people are saying. But after a year, I was working in Port Glasgow, which was down the ways from there, and had no problem with the accent. But just that one time, could not understand a bloody word. So okay, back to you.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all good. I have a friend who's, it's got diabetes and he's going blind, which is, it's a sad thing. And he needed help. He needed to be picked up from the train because he had to go into Boston for doctors and stuff like that. But, I'd picked him up too. So now I have a bunch of people over the house, and we're all like kind of ripping it up and having a great time on Monday night and everything else. And then, my good buddy Jeff Hopkins and his wife got the call. Jeff's dad has been really sick, and they had already made plans to come to Boston to go to the shows. It was on their like bucket list to kind of go. Well, people say bucket list to go to New York City, and stuff like that. And then Jeff got the call. His dad was really not doing well, so Jeff and Denise had to fly home on Monday. Yeah, basically Tuesday morning, which is basically, I had to get up, get up like 3 a.m. here and drive them back into Boston. So they had to go back home to go see his father. And it's. I was bummed. He was bummed. Denise was bummed. It was like a whirlwind, and it just kind of hit like a rock, But it's one of those things you got to do. You got to.
What else? What else can you do?
There's no choice. I mean, it's just it's your dad. You only got one mom and one dad, and he was he's really close to his his parents and stuff. And it was a bummer, but. Had to fly home. That's the way it goes. So that people were asking, where's Jeff? And at first I didn't really want to say much or say stuff. He just say that he couldn't make it and stuff like that. But shout out to Jeff. I hope he doesn't get upset with me. I don't think he will now. But now that it's out there that basically Jeff's dad waited for him. I mean, Jeff's dad was really had got sick, and Jeff's dad basically waited for him to get home. Fly the 6-7 hours back to Washington State to go visit him before he passed away. He basically held on until Jeff and Denise got there, and he opened his eyes and held his hand, and it was just surreal. So that's crazy, man. All that whirlwind, fly here and then have to fly back, do all that stuff, missing everything. I mean, it just it's a good buddy. I love you, buddy. I love you, Denise. I love you, Jeff. And that's why they weren't around for the parties and the shows and stuff like in Boston or New York. So
and that's absolutely devastating. But he didn't miss a thing. He made it back for his dad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a bigger thing.
He didn't miss out on anything. He was where he needed to be, and that's just horrible to happen to anyone. But that is our life, and just I guess be thankful that he made it back in time because
things can change in an instant, as they say. You don't realize it until they do. So, anyways, not to be doing us, but we'll move on here for a second. So anyways, like I said, we had made stickers. I made stickers of the guys' faces, little icons and stuff, and passed them out at the tables, Kim and I, and stuff like that. And I also made, I think I had showed these before. I had made a poster and pin set for a charity for Boston and New York because I know we were going to do them. And I basically took like the old pin, the I Was There pin from like the 70s, and I had Kiss in the background, really, really faded. But I put it says one says Boston with the date on it. Like that, and then I did basically the same thing for New York, and I did I did 50 sets for Boston, and I did 100 for New York. And the poster says I was there, it has the bar name and stuff like that. I'm not gonna go pull it out now, stuff like that. And we did for charities like $10 for both of them. I thought I was gonna wipe out, basically they'd be gone, but they didn't. So if anybody's still interested, you can contact me. You can work something out and get them shipped to you because I still have some stuff left over. The money, so basically it would come down, it was made like $125 for Breast Cancer Research Foundation, and I sent the check in yesterday, and I posted it on the 2 event pages, and I didn't put it on my own page. Did I put it on my own page yet? Because it's been a whirlwind, but I posted on the event pages that were set up for the thing. So just to let everybody know, I did a bank check and stuff just to prove it, and on behalf of the KISS Army, it's written on the check and stuff like that. So anything helps. I mean, you got to give back. You know what I mean? They say
absolutely, and
comes around, goes around. They say,
Congratulations on doing something positive.
Just trying to have fun. Like everything else, it's fun. And like I said, I do have some extra posters and some extra pins. If anybody's really interested, just send me a PM through Facebook. I'm kind of just doing it that way, easy stuff. And so we did that. So we had
I want to talk about Stout. Because
we got to do the Boston because we went to Boston first. So we went to Boston. So I went to the show at Boston, and of course hometown. And I thought the crowd was really good. The place was pretty packed. They didn't say sold out, but I mean I know the place holds a lot of people. It's not a small arena, and I thought it was a really good crowd for that time of it's a weekday show. It's on a Tuesday. I'm not making excuses, but. I thought it sold really well. I know the place is pretty packed. I don't know. You've been good with the numbers, haven't you? I haven't seen the numbers for the Boston. Do
No,
you have that?
there's no numbers yet. It holds a maximum capacity of 20,000. More than likely, it would be between 2/3 and 75% of that with staging and everything. So, 16,000 would be good if it sold out, but it could be as low as 13, depending on other factors.
Yeah, I would say a good. I mean, I know when they play hockey, they say, like 17,000, almost 18,000 in that place playing hockey. So I mean, it's not a small arena, but it's. I mean, it was packed and it was pretty rowdy. I thought it was really everybody was really into it, and we can get into that about the crowds and what do you think about the shows and different. Remember you had asked me, we had talked about this. So anyways, did the Boston one, and then by the time I got home from Boston, oh my God, it was like 2 a.m. in the morning. And Kim and I basically had to be back on the road. I had to get up at 3 or 3:30 to be in Hartford, Connecticut, to get on the train to go to New York City. So we got down there, got on the train, took the nice 3-hour ride. It was a nice ride. The train was nice comfortable seats. I mean, we had a good time just chilling out with us. And it was good not to drive to a certain point. And, of course, we got into New York City and get in there, and of course it's 9:30 in the morning. Of course, you can't get into Hotel Pennsylvania, and that place is a zoo. That hotel's a zoo. It's convenient, but that place sucks as in trying to get into your room anytime early. And they are very, very slow. I think they have 2 people working, and there's 100 people standing in line. It's ridiculous. And they kept saying, "Oh, come back at 12." But anyways, as soon as we put our stuff downstairs in the dungeon and they good guys and stuff, and they take care of your stuff, your luggage, if you want to hold it. We come out of the elevator, and bingo, who's the first person I meet coming out of the elevator? You! And what do you say? What are you doing? I don't know. What are you doing? Let's go take a walk. So you take it from there. Go ahead, you talk.
Yeah, and I've recapped that whole walk in another episode, so people can catch up on that. But that was so much fun hanging with you.
George's? You want to go to George's?
Giorgio's, Sarge's.
I knew it was something.
I'm like, what the hell are you talking about, Andy? I'm trying to pull up Paul's book on my phone to search through the manuscript on it. And
isn't that crazy that Kim had the photo from that Peter Expo? How long is that? 3 years ago? I mean, she's got so many photos on her phone. I'm like, please, you got to download those somewhere on Google. Let's go. See, aren't you glad I didn't get rid of it?
Yes, we are.
On that one,
we are glad that she had it because that was a pretty weird diner to go eat in. I mean, Paul was there, and it had a lot of connection. Again, we've explained why we went there, because Paul went there after his 1977 December sold-out Madison Square Garden show on his own. When everyone else was out after-show partying, he's alone. So, that's the connection with that place, why we went there. But, the food wasn't that great. It was okay. Nothing spectacular.
No, I know. Yeah, nothing next week. But the weirdest thing out of the whole thing, not just only that he was there, is that the walls, you remember, you saw the walls, there's famous people who've been there. There's tons of them. And there's not one picture of them on the wall. You know what I mean? And so imagine that. The guy's there, Paul's there, he's eating, and he's probably been there more than once, and there's not one picture of him on the wall because he's got to be incognito all those years. Isn't that crazy when you think about it? They're like, you had the biggest rock and roll stars in the world in the 70s, and they probably didn't even know themselves. It's so surreal. So that's why I thought it was cool about it. But yeah, like you said, the food was okay. Kim's like, oh, it's a little expensive. I'm like, well, it's New York,
Yeah. Well, Paul Stanley's sitting there eating matzo ball soup. I'm a rock god. I'm a rock star, and no one knows who I am, and I'm on my own.
Yeah, that is kind of weird, but it is what it is.
Yep.
So anyways, we did that, and we finally got in the room at 3:00, and then showered up quick, and then went next door to the Stout. So what do you want to know? Besides, it was packed.
Well, number one, with the Stout, my problem was I didn't know there was a downstairs.
I kept saying on the website, there's a downstairs, there's an upstairs, but I didn't even know they had another room on the. Not only did they have a downstairs room, they had another downstairs room And even upstairs is the main bar, and then they had another thing around the corner that was
Oh,
packed. When I
Jesus.
went upstairs in the video, I was like,
That place
I
was a
wish I had
rabbit run. I mean, it was insane, the amount of
yeah.
rooms. And I only found out, I was upstairs with Ace Goebel, Scotty, Love Guns, a bunch of the guys from the FAQ board. And we were just there, and then Nibbler showed up and was buying Jägermeisters, and someone bought a scotch, and by that time I was wrecked.
I might have got to meet those guys, and nobody said, "Hey, I'm this such." A couple people come and say, "Hey, my name is." I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay." I don't think I ever met Nibbler. That's too bad. I love, hey Nibbler, man, I love your passion, like me, and your numbers things. I love it. It's cool,
Hell yeah.
I think it's fascinating, all that stuff. It's very cool. Like I said, you guys. Your FAQ website, which with Facebook and all that other stuff, your thing is still running, and there's still a lot of people on there that loved all this stuff. I love it. It's awesome.
There's a lot of positive people on there, but if you only focus on the dinks, then that's all you'll see. If you look at the good, it's like society. It's just a mirror of society, that there are good people, there are bad people, there are people who are anonymous who lurk. You can't paint that whole site with one broad brush any more than you can do that to a type of people by the color of their skin or their religion or what state they live in. It just doesn't work. If you do that, it just shows that you're an idiot. But getting back to positive things, I'd been standing in line for the restroom for like 20 minutes upstairs, and finally a waiter
go
staff,
downstairs?
Yeah, waiter staff, there's a bigger bathroom downstairs. I mean, there was someone who, I don't know if they had passed out trying to pitch a loaf or something, but once we went downstairs, I was like, I found you. And the guy dressed up as Eric Carr 88. I was so wrecked. I gotta get a picture with this guy. I mean, I saw the Facebook Live after, so I'm like, oh, Jesus. But I thought that was so awesome. Someone as Eric Carr, at least I thought he was. I hope he was. That, because again, after Jaeger and Scotch and all those beers, I don't usually get that wrecked before a show ever. But
you were wrecked? You had a smile on your big face when you came downstairs. I had just started doing another go live, and you were right there in my face. I'm like, look, it's the famous.
I was.
You're like,
I was beyond wrecked.
Were you really?
Yeah, I didn't drink again that night. So
that's funny.
Actually, I did. I had one at Madison Square Garden when I got there. But it was nuts downstairs. And, I mean, you took me off to some tables to meet folks and whatnot. And it looked like everyone's having a fantastic time down there. And it was wall-to-wall packed. And, I mean, it was steamy. I mean, it was... Yeah, it was a scene.
But people didn't, complain, and actually there were a lot of people come on that either I didn't know and said hi to us, or said, "Hey man, this is awesome, thank you." This is what I had. The guy from Kiss Nation who plays the Paul. I forget his name. I'm sorry, I'm terrible. He's like, "Man, this is awesome." He said, "This should have been done years ago. This should be happen every time they're here or whatever." He said, "This should have been." And I'm like, "Well, I didn't, I whatever, So he goes, "This is awesome. This is the way it should be. A bunch of fans getting together, put everything aside, let all the whatever go, and just have fun for, the whole night." As Paul says, forget it, put everything aside, just have fun for the night. And, Lady Chris was there. She was selling her books and saying hi to everybody.
I didn't see her again.
She's ready to sit over there. She had a thing up on the wall. The only thing I felt bad for her, I mean, she did sell. She said she did good and stuff like that. And hang on. I wish I had a microphone to basically, it would reach all over the place.
Wait, you need a microphone?
Yeah. You see how loud and how much packed that place was? To say that, they were downstairs. And Richie Fontana was there too, which, the Richie does not come out that much. He's kind of reserved and very quiet. Great guy though, man. Great guy. And he had his CDs and some stuff. He was taking pictures and saying hi to people. And then all of a sudden, Robbie I say his name, Conte. Robbie Conte showed up and tapped me on the shoulder. "Hey, how's it going, Andy?" I'm like, "Hey, Robbie." That's what I said. I wish I had a microphone to tell people that these people are here.
So I missed him as well. No, sorry, Robert.
And then all of a sudden I'm thinking, and next thing I got like a little bit of a hug behind my back. I'm like, "What?" Big John shows up. Big John Hart shows up. I'm like, "John, what are you doing here?" He goes, "Well, Kiss is playing here, and this is supposed to be their last thing in New York City, Madison Square Garden. I had to be here." I'm like, "Cool, no way." So I mean, there were people coming up, and there were a lot of people through. Long Island and Connecticut and everywhere else that I roamed around, and people recognized me, say, "Hey, Andy, great job on being on your show and stuff," and like, "Hey, you should be on Andy more often." And I'm like, well, I kind of like doing this in a way because if I go to something, I want to be on it and then talk about it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
I
you're an official KissFAQ podcast reporter, dude. Because you're actually on this episode to talk about an event, but we're just talking about the other stuff that we've done lately as well, which is, if people are wondering why we're talking about New York and all these other shows again, it's because Andy's organized stuff that was fun at these events, and we had a great time in New York at his party at the Stout, and
it's free too, just having fun for free and just getting people together, have some drinks and beer, or drinks, or if you don't want to drink, don't. You hang out and say hi, take photos, whatever. I said put differences aside, and I've had people in the Boston and everywhere come up to me and say, "Hey, Andy, thanks for doing this." There are some people who say, "Man, I don't know anybody. I'm a Kiss fan. I don't have anybody hanging around with Kiss fans, and now I'm meeting all you people, and you people will treat me like you knew me forever." And I go, "Well, that's the way it goes here. This is what it is. It's a unique kind of thing."
It's Kiss Army. It is just like a family. There may be a grumpy uncle, a crazy aunt, but everyone is welcome. So that's the great part about it. That's what I enjoy. That's what I enjoy about these get-togethers, though. I like them with a little bit less alcohol. Someone sticks a scotch in front of my face. What am I going to do?
I would have done that. I didn't know that. I would have done one when we went to lunch. Then
that'd be a crime against my.
You would have been happy before we got out of lunch. Then I would have,
Yeah.
So, anyways, it was a great time. I thank everybody who came up to me and just thanked us, and whatever. We had a great time. It was a great time. I said four shows in 6 days, and with a lot of stuff in between. It was pretty crazy, but we had a lot of fun. And I know we had talked about some stuff about crowds. What did you think in Madison Square Garden?
Mm-hmm.
So, that was the first time you ever been to Madison Square Garden, was it?
That was the first time I've ever been there, and that was be the only time I ever go there. That was bucket list material.
Yeah. No, that was my fourth time, because the first time I went there was a reunion tour. Insane. Absolutely insane. Crazy.
How did it compare to Reunion? And I mean, obviously there's 20 years, no more than 20 years, separating those two in terms of how your memories may be affected. But from your perception right now, was Reunion bigger?
Oh, not even close.
I'm sure the emotions were bigger because it was the reunion, and it was the first time in many years that the band had been back together in makeup as well. Plus, it was much closer then to when Kiss had its heyday at the Madison Square Garden. So my money would always have been on Reunion being bigger. I mean, Reunion not being measurable against anything that comes after. But, in terms of the stage, I think the stage now and the show is better than the reunion, but the reunion was exactly what it was supposed to be, a hybrid of trying to recollect 1977, whereas the show this year is nothing about that. It's about being the biggest, brashest, brightest, bombastic show possible. So they're two different beasts. You almost should, it's almost apples and oranges that you shouldn't compare. But for you, what about the crowd? Was the crowd subdued? Nope. Some people have said that the Madison Square Garden audience at this show was dead, and
right reasons. My reasons why, and I'm telling you, I'm not going to lie to people. You know me, it's pretty much straightforward. The crowds in Long Island, Connecticut, and Boston were more into the show than they were in New York. And my reason is why, thinking wise, is that. People, New York was on their bucket list, right? Like yourself and Jeff and other people. So we're fans who've been fans for a long, long time. We've seen a lot of shows. We go to a lot of shows. So we were expecting something maybe different in New York, maybe something a little more special. I don't know. So a lot of us go, but I seen when Paul would say maybe in Long Island or Connecticut and even in Boston say, "Hey, is this your first time?" And a lot of people in those shows were like, "Yeah." So those people, those new people, or their second time seeing Kiss, it's new to them. So they're like, "Wow," So they were more into it, and I think that's my reason. And I think the stage is, like you said, the three act shows, the fireworks, all the amazing because of technology.
Yep.
Uh, and I think I understand why the stage is so wide open probably because of the fire, the fire marshals, fire laws, stuff like that. But to me, it looks like it's missing that little piece because now they're so far away from that front row. You see how the stage is so wide. Then you have that pit thing, and then you have the front row.
Yep.
It's so far from them, so I don't think they get that like really close interaction with the crowd as much. I don't know. That's just my kind of thinking, maybe a little bit in a way. I don't know. But I think most of the reason, I just think, who knows though, is that a lot of people from all over that have seen Kiss all the time went to Madison Square Garden and hoping something else would happen too. I think people were waiting for maybe a special guest to show up or something like more.
Yeah, but I knew a special guest was not going to happen.
Oh,
and I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting them to do something special. Now I know they did the special Madison Square Garden T-shirts and the poster.
That's another thing.
which is really nice from my perspective that they did those.
Yeah.
I didn't get the T-shirt on the night. And I'm glad Kiss Online's doing a second run of those so that I can get one. I did get the poster. Everyone's heard my drama of how it got destroyed by UPS, but it's up on the wall. It's battle scarred. It's like my life, my arms and body's covered with scars and stab wounds. This thing's a mirror of that, and that's fine. But I really think instead of Paul doing that same old rap of how many people is this your first time, that I would have liked them to have just taken a moment to say something a little bit more from the heart. Stop the show and talk about New York and talk about Eric Carr and talk about the members who aren't there but are there in spirit and in the music. And this is I would have liked that. But then again, then it becomes almost like a funeral in some ways. It's a wake. That would take away from the show. But I just would have loved something. It's New York City, for God's sakes.
I thought maybe they would pull out that stage B that you saw in Vancouver for this show in New York City, because it's New York City. Gene and Paul's home. Like, you can't even call it home for them anymore. It's originally home, but they've been California boys for how long now?
Mm-hmm.
Basically so long. I thought maybe that my biggest stretch was maybe to pull up that stage B, the one with the whole catwalk for Paul, and because it's New York City. Because I would suspect they would have videotaped it for something maybe in the future, saying, "Look, this is we're originally from our original home, the two of them." But it is what it is. I know people say, "Oh man, it was great." Well, yeah, it was great. I'm not saying it wasn't great. I'm not saying it wasn't great.
And my section of audience wasn't dead either. I mean, I had that really loud drunk behind me who was going nuts, yelling political stuff all night. But around us, everyone was into it. We were, it wasn't like a South American crazy, because no one can match that, or Mexican crowd.
Well, because they don't get the shows we get, and then they get it and they go all nuts.
Yeah, or even a German crowd. If you look at Rock am Ring and any of the big European festivals where the crowd is actually bouncing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like 76 doing the pogo all over again. You just don't get that in America. American audiences are weird compared to the rest of the world. So yeah, it's you guys who are weird, not the rest of the world. But I thought it was still a very good audience. I thought it
but
was fun.
It just wasn't, I mean, like I said, comparing a couple of the other shows to that one, it just seemed that the audience was more dead it just seemed that way. I don't know why, and it's not taking any away from it. There are people like, "Oh, Andy," because I saw it online. Andy, man, we were having a great. It's not about having a great. There were people having a great time, and I know a lot of people had a great time. It's not that, but I think people were waiting for like a little extra punch, the one extra punch, saying if this is really that was the last show in New York City, then maybe a little extra punch or one extra song or something. I don't know, but anyways, I enjoyed it. I still love New York City. It was fun to be there. It's always fun to go there, here and there. And, if you've never been there, it's a great place to go. There's a lot of things to sight.
Oh, my God, there's so much. I mean, if you think of what we managed to see that day.
Oh, we didn't see nothing. And people see these videos. Your friend did a video. He went to spots. There are so many Kiss spots, people. Yep. And they're all over. It's not just like, one little section. They're so spread out where they went in cars and the park. I mean the park is huge. I mean, this place is, and I told you the other day, all of a sudden now I'm back into searching for more spots, and I'm finding more spots, and there's another guy with me we're finding spots, and I told you the other day, I think we're either really, really close, or where we got the spot is where the People magazine was shot in New York City. That's pretty cool, from this, so hopefully by the end of next week or something I got it, because whenever I want to go back there again, I want to do this stuff. It's fun,
Yep.
but it would take you a long, long time to do a documentary. I mean, I bet you would take a year or two.
I've seen people who've, stayed in New York since, thinking of Alf, was posting on Facebook, other sites that he had gone to related to Kiss, and that was for a good week after the Madison Square Garden show. So you're not going to do this. I was there for a day. So, just going to the easy ones within walking distance of the Garden, and we still missed ones that were within walking distance, that we could have gone to. But, we still had like 10 miles walking that day. So
yeah, it was we weren't even thinking. I didn't realize that you had your Fitbit on. I'm like, we walked about 6-7 miles. Really? I didn't really realize that we did that long, and it didn't feel like long. Because that's what I said. It was fun. It was together. You with other fans that you knew, and it didn't matter.
Hanging out on street corners, and that was what it was about.
Yeah, and it's kind of, and I forgot to bring the thing to wash the damn pole.
Yeah, but what do you do? It's like, hey, let me take that photo for you, so you're not doing a selfie when you meet other fans. You don't know them, but then you've already got a connection with someone, so it's not difficult to say, hey, we're Kiss fans too. Hey, you're a Kiss fan who want us to take your photo for you? Yeah, it's all good. Okay, so let's move on from New York, and because this episode is actually about.
I know. Maybe you're going to cut it off, and it's not.
I will put a little blurb in there. You can cut forward to 41 minutes when we actually get to the topic. But you know what? It sometimes happens. It's good to catch up on you and all those things that you did before I actually saw you.
We saw you, and saw a bunch of other people. It's always fun.
I will say it was so funny when I opened up the elevator, and there you and Kim are.
And you probably went, oh no.
It's like awesome.
Yeah, you're like, oh no, it's Andy. He's gonna take me everywhere. He's gonna drive me nuts all day.
I was like, awesome. Now there's people to hang out with.
I had a great time. We were walking the streets. We had a great time. Like I said, we had a great time. Kim's a great sport.
Yep.
She's the Kiss too, and she likes Kiss. She likes music. She doesn't get into all our little spots, but she had fun with us and stuff like that. And we got our coffee and something to eat and more because it was a little chilly. So anyways, it was fun. That's all I can say. It was fun.
Okay, so today's topic is the return of the Comet. Now that I've got someone on the show who's actually been to one of the Return of the Comet shows, we did interview John Reagan. Thank you again, John. And I still hope to talk to either Richie or Todd now that they've done a couple of shows and just get a feel for them. So Todd and or Richie, you're both, there's an open invite for you, but I will reach out through proper channels, obviously. Tell me about the show. Which one did you go to, number one? And I'll just let you go.
Yeah, I went to. Let me see. I always say it wrong So, anyways, finally, I didn't have to take a super long road trip. I only had to go to Foxboro, Massachusetts. Where the Patriots play. I know we're gonna. I'm not a Patriots fan. I live in New England, but I'm not a Patriots fan. So, anyways, I'm not actually. I haven't watched football in like 3 years. Ever since the kneel down stuff, I think it's pretty pathetic, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. So, anyways, I went to. It's called Showcase Live in Foxboro, and it was basically charity. Jeez. Man, I can't even speak today. Can never speak. Most people say I can't speak anyways, because I speak too fast in a way. So Charlie Farron. So if anybody knew who Charlie Farron is from Fahrenheit,
Joe Perry Project,
and the Joe Perry Project opened up. He came out with a guitar just by himself and sing. That guy can still sing. Unbelievable. And he's going to come out with he has a CD going to come out. I don't know when, but he was talking about it. He was playing some songs for it, and he was telling some kind of funny stories. He was almost like a comedian in a way, and he would play the song, talk about it, and being like a comedian at the same time. It was pretty funny. So it was pretty cool. And then of course we were there for my the main event. And I have to say, Ace used to live in Connecticut, and he would play, and John Regan stuff and up in New York City, but in the New York area, and Richie too. And like I said, Ace lived in Connecticut, so he used to play a lot around here. Providence, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York area. So back in the late 80s, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94. I mean, all this, into the early 90s that, Ace Frehley's Comet, and, all his, you know, rolling, whatever he wanted to call himself, Ace Frehley for his Comet. But last night, man, that was off the hook, man. I'm telling you, that just brought me back in a way to my mid 80s. What a combination of guys, and you take me somewhere. Just you got to ask me questions because it's like it was a general mission, but they had seats and tables going this way, so when you got in, you could sit and wait and hang around, which was cool. And then when they came on, you could stand up and whatever stuff we're doing. And of course, go to shows and you see the same people all the time, which is cool. You catch up with people if you haven't seen them in a while. Same people, and it's and everybody's kosher with each other. It's not like push and shoving, like a 2-year-old pushing and shoving to get this and that stuff. So, anyways, where do you want? What do you want me to say?
Well,
it was so awesome. Like I said, it took me back to my. It was so awesome, and it's different, because now you have Richie and Todd together doing this stuff.
That's number one question. When I asked, John how the two were going to work out their stuff, and obviously they got together and worked out their guitar stuff. There's stuff that obviously Todd's going to take lead on while Richie does rhythm, and other songs where Richie's going to take lead when Todd does rhythm. But vocally, I mean, if we talk about, gasoline versus water, water being pure, just power, and gasoline having that barbed wire edge to it, they're two very different vocalists.
Oh, yeah.
How did they work together from your perspective, just as a music fan?
It was... I kept bringing it back. I was I'm excited anyways and stuff, but I was jumping up and down. I was excited. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this is awesome. I mean, I just, man, I want to see it again. If it's Kim's birthday today. If it wasn't Kim's birthday, I'd probably take the 4.5-hour drive to Poughkeepsie, New York tonight, because I just loved it. They worked off each other. All of them did. They're all professional. They are like tight. It sounded so, and I'm telling you, it was loud, but it was awesome. It was just the way I kind of remember back from the 80s, but you're minus Ace, but you have, like I said, you have Tom and Richie together, and they both fed off each other. And do
you got a set list?
Yeah, I want to go through set list.
Yeah, because I've only got the one from the first show they did,
Ooh,
so I don't know if
they off the stage last night.
Nice. All right, so let's go song by song. What do they open up with?
Calling to You.
Nice. So that's Todd's power ballad from the '87 album.
Oh, I wouldn't even really call it a ballad either. It's like,
well, it's the 707 song that was revamped for. And I love it. It's just a great song from the mid '80s. That sort of style. It was a bit heavy with keyboards on the Comet album, but a great opening track.
I agree. I think that should have been one of the singles that came out when the album came out.
It was, but it was only issued promotionally as a 12-inch.
Yeah, but I mean, I know the whole Ace thing, but I mean, really, that could have been a good rock radio kind of hit in that way, because it was '80s, but it wasn't over the top 80s.
Honestly, I think it would have been a better single and video than either Rock Soldiers or Into the Night, just because it had.
Rock Soldiers though is still awesome. Into the Night.
Well, they're awesome, but they're very niche. They appeal more to a more narrow audience, like the Kiss fan audience, than a broader one. Calling to You is more accessible to a wider audience because of the sort of material it's competing against stylistically, and that's just my opinion.
What I mean. If you want to get more on the radio stuff, I would have.
Yeah, and that's,
Calling to You.
That should have been what they.
The first one, Rock Soldiers. Second one, Calling to You. Third one, okay, Into the Night if you want.
Yep. All right. Next.
Give It to Me Anyway.
Love it. Again,
I'm like, really? I mean, this is so cool, because this is something I never heard live.
You didn't. So all the times in the '90s when Richie was back in the band.
I don't remember.
Wow.
My brain hasn't gone that bad. But I don't ever remember.
That's a great
hearing
song.
that.
And again, I posted up the 1984 demo, which obviously was Richie, and it's got a way better vibe than the one that they recut in '89 that was then left off. Trouble Walking, then included on what was it, Loaded Deck. So it's a great song. It's just lets.
Maybe I did. I don't know. I just it's just so cool.
Again,
you know what I mean?
it's one of the earliest of the Frilly's Comet songs. So that to me, it's a great. You go from Calling to You, which is kind of melodic AOR kind of stuff, into Give It to Me Anyway, which is just sleazy, stonesy, rock and rollsy Emperor music.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You get the device on the two of them.
Yeah.
Like you said, the two different voices, the two different kind of, the two, Richie's more kind of dark.
Yep.
His voice is darker, heavier, and it sounds like more raunchy. Not saying that Todd can't be, but it's just the way it is. It works, but it works well.
Yeah, they don't need to be. Todd's got power behind his pipes. I mean, he's 61 years old. He sounds and looks fantastic when you compare him with a lot of other vocalists. Obviously, he hasn't had the touring schedule that like a Coverdale or a Paul Stanley has had, but his voice is just impeccable. But and just to have one little dig at Todd, I loved watching and listening to what was he doing in Miami, Cold Gym.
Yep.
Kind of struggling with Paul's vocals because obviously he doesn't do it all the time. No, it was Lick It Up. Sorry, not Cold Gin. And that to me was really cool to see him taking on a Paul Stanley vocal and just not being completely comfortable with it. But when he does his own stuff, boom, he knows exactly where he is, and it's perfect. It's no perfect every time.
Yeah. I just, so I love it. So the next song was Time Ain't Running Out.
Okay, Second Sighting album track. Yep. So I was thrilled. I mean, when we were talking with John, we were throwing a few kind of songs that we really wanted them to throw in there. Time Ain't Running Out is one, Fallen Angels another. Great song. The back to, you're going from, Richie to back to back. It's a good comment, and I like the second side. I know people kind of give the second side, it's more of a Todd solo album than it was an Ace solo album. But you know what? I've always said that, even myself. I've never really wanted Ace to sing a full album. He can't.
All the songs.
And he can't.
I just didn't want it. I didn't.
No.
It was kind of the special thing about Ace not singing all the songs, because when he did sing his songs, they were like special. And they always had the punch. It always worked good. The Talk to Me, the Rock Shoulders. I mean, it just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. So, I don't know. That's the way I just think.
One of the things about Time Ain't Running Out is one thing I do notice from the videos, and I hope better quality does surface, is that the Second Sighting stuff really does sound different now. Performed live, it's not the production on Second Sighting didn't help the material either, in my opinion. But it sounds better live, and it sounds better with Richie there.
But I like the CD, well, I'll call albums. CD album. I loved it anyways. I don't care.
Yeah.
Either way.
I'm not. What I mean? I listened to the album plenty. I'm not ashamed to say I listened to Second Sighting. It's good music. So
I love it. It's a pure 80s. It's in the 80s. It's right there in the 80s. That's what it is. That's what it was.
Yep. All right. Next song. Into the Night.
Into the Night. Yep. So, it's one of those songs that they released as the single.
Who did the vocals on that? Do you remember?
Todd. Yep.
I would have had Richie, I think. But there you go.
Yep. But I mean, I know they were going to do it because that's one of the songs that that was the single and all that stuff.
Yeah, there's no problem with them doing it without Ace. I mean, that's the whole idea. They're celebrating the music of the Comet. And anyway, it was a cover. It was a Russ Ballard song that he'd already released he'd had that out in '84 on his album. So I'm just surprised Todd took that vocal, because with it being more of a street song, in terms of subject matter, I thought that would have been more in Richie's wheelhouse. So that's interesting to know.
That's cool.
And it's neither.
And if I get something wrong, I'm sorry. Just a whirlwind. But yeah, it was Todd that sang it. But in listening to them feed off each other, and they look at each other, who's doing a lead and who's doing. I mean, it's worked so well. I mean, they looking at each other, go, yep, 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 and and they're so close. This is not like they're like 50 feet away from me. I mean, we were literally, my stage was only like up to my halfway to my calf, literally. I mean, and Richie and I mean, they would just like walk right up to you, and you're like, I mean, literally in my face. Richie almost hit me with the guitar about 10 times. I mean, that's how close he was. He coming up, and just so cool, man. I mean, you're talking people, instead of being on this huge, huge stage, which, I mean, every band wants to be in front of huge crowds. There's no doubt about it because, you make more money and stuff. But I mean, it was just so awesome. That's all I can say. It's just so awesome. So anyways, one of my favorite tunes from back in the day, Lost in Limbo. And I had always wanted them to play Lost in Limbo. And one time I saw them do it back in the day with Ace, and he was late. He had showed up about 2 hours late, drunker than a skunk. The place was packed. And he basically, when he first started, he plugged in, started playing, and when he did it, and then when he's playing Lost in Limbo, because I love the solo off that, he basically was stumbling back, hit the amps, and the amp started shaking, and the rest of the guys started looking, oh my God, and the cabinet, and he ran over and grabbed the cabinet, and then he grabbed him and that was the only one time I think I've ever heard Lost in Limbo, and I wanted to hear Lost in Limbo so bad, and it was so awesome. And they played Lost in Limbo last night. I was losing my mind. I'm like, yeah, and Kim's looking, what are you doing? I'm like, you're losing my mind.
Yeah, that whole Trouble Walking album, though,
Oh yeah, and when they first came out, they came on stage. Richie comes right out because we were more on the Richie side. We just happened to be on that side a little bit more. And Richie looks at me because I had my Trouble Walking shirt on, the back of the white one, and he's like, looks at it, goes, nice shirt, right away. Point out the shirt right away.
Awesome.
I'm like, thank you, because there's a thing. I showed on my Facebook. There's a picture of me wearing that white shirt because I went to an expo back in the day, and somewhere in the early '90s, and they were there, and I went like this, and John nixed me with a thing because they had, wrote on the back. They signed the back of the white T-shirt. I went like that's a joke, and I said last night, I says, man, look, it still fits. I put it on, it still fits. I wonder if I can get it. So I kind of recreated it last night again.
That's excellent.
Yeah, show John the picture. We can talk about that stuff later, but it's fine. And then of course, always playing "Too Young to Die." A Richie passed. That's always been "Too Young to Die." That's it. And that's always been in the thing since what? How long? Since Richie's been in the band, right?
Yep.
Since that album's come out, it's always been like Richie's go-to song.
It's totally Richie's song,
So yep. And of course the shout out to Erica, which they did last night. The shout out to Erica, of course.
They always.
No, I'm sorry, I got the wrong song, but yeah, never mind. He's gonna punch me now. It's actually Breakout that he does that. Sorry, punch me now.
Yeah, usually it's Breakout, but you know what?
Yeah.
Ace and Richie have always been. They've always
Yeah.
been respectful of Eric Carr, which is nice.
Right.
Where we just talked about Madison Square Garden and not even a mention of anyone. Ace has always, kept Eric's name out there, which, I respect him for no matter what.
Yep. So the next song, it's Over Now. So, that was Todd's, singing thing, and all that, that was kind of, that's the 80s,
It is,
it's the whole 80s thing.
But I think
it works
Todd,
good live. That one works, to me, that one really works better live, because it gives a little bit more of the punch.
It's way better live, but I think it's also a song that Todd absolutely adores. So I would not have gone to a Return of the Comet show and not expected to hear it.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's a little bit soft for me, but it does sound better live, and it's a beautifully crafted piece of music.
And I kind of figured I was going to be playing anyways. When you see the keyboards up there, you're like, okay, it's going to be cool. I love it though, because when are you going to get a chance to hear these songs?
That's the whole point of this exercise. It's like you're going to hear the guys who were involved in the creation of this music playing the music for you on stage. What else could you want?
I don't know. That's why I said I kind of lost for words in ways because it was so good and so much fun. Because it was just plain ahead straight rock. It was no bombs, no fire, just straight ahead. Here we are. Here's the stage. Here's the drums. Here's the stuff. Here's some amps. We're ready to go.
And,
we're going to be in
and
your
while
face.
this is the wrong song to mention for Charlie Farron, since it was Ralph Mormon on it, just let the music do the talking,
Yeah. Well, they would do some talking in between some of the songs and say, how did this song come about? This and that. Some of them I can't remember on some of them what they were talking about. Or this one didn't get on this album, got cut off, but we're going to play it anyways and stuff like that. So they would, kind of like joking back and forth a little bit. But most of the time it was, here we go, straight ahead. No BS. Let's do this. Which is awesome. And I said it was loud, but it was good loud. You know what I mean? Anybody who's in this age group that saw them or into that in the 80s, last 80s and early 90s when the grunge shit came out, this is what you had, and this is awesome, so that's what it is. So I was taken back by the next one because I had no idea, and I didn't cheat. I didn't look at any set list. I didn't, bother, because I'm like, man, I just want to go into this like the old days, not knowing what's going to happen. So, when I talk to people, they're like, yeah, you should see the set. I'm like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. And even I could see the set list when they were playing. I didn't even look down. I try not to look down as much as I could because I didn't want to know. I just really just want to. But the next one is Words Are Not Enough.
Which just blows my mind that they put it in. I'm so happy that they did.
It was so cool because I'm like, oh my God. And my friend Dan goes, what is this song? I'm like, it's Words Not Enough. He's like, what is it? I go, it's a song they've never played live before. So you're basically catching this for the first time live.
Yep.
I enjoyed it. It's awesome. I just enjoyed it. I just first time ever hearing it, and this is the stuff you want.
That's exactly what I was looking forward to. We talked about certain old songs, the ones that never made the albums after Richie left in '84, or actually he left in '85, I think. But I don't think Words Are Not. I'll have to go back and maybe watch that John Reagan episode again and see if we even mentioned that one, because it's such a stunning. Again, it's in the same class as Calling to You. It's a very high quality song, perfectly crafted, and it fits right into the era in which it was released. I mean, obviously it came out as the studio track on Live Plus One, but it had been demoed in '84 as well, so it dates from Richie's era, regardless of whether he played on it. So great stuff. Yeah. I'm very excited.
I was like, it's not the same old sets you saw. It's not the same thing. And I'm like, this is cool. This is just off the hook. I love this. Now the next song is another song that I've always loved, and it's one of those songs that just something moved. I just love that song. I've always loved that song. Just got something about it. It's one of those favorites in those days, and it still is. It's still got that punch to it. It's still got that groove to it. To me, it does. I love it.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one from this recent performances yet, and never been one of my favorite songs. But I'm looking forward to hearing,
oh, really?
a current, powerful recording of it, just to see if that changes my opinion. I'm always open-minded about stuff. I'm never gonna.
Oh, it's the guitar thing when they're switching off on the guitars, they're switching back and forth, stuff like that. It's always been. I always loved that song, and cool. It just got that rhythm to it. I just love it. So the next song is Animal.
Yeah, Richie.
Yeah, another just kind of like like I said, he's got that the deep
Well, everyone knew this was going to be. This is probably the one song everyone knew was definitely going to be in the set. The guys re-recorded it in '97 for the Return of the Comet tribute, so that song has a life of its own, and it's just the chance to hear and see Richie do that live is with Todd as well. I mean, come on, that's awesome. I mean, that's what this is all about. Todd Howarth and Richie Scarlett on stage together singing and performing Animal. It's just beyond awesome.
Yeah, another one I've never heard live either. So, I mean, this is so cool about how they're doing this, and stuff like that. So, I mean, I like how they're, playing stuff you never heard before. So, So the next song is, in one of my another all-time that I can never get sick is Shot Full of Rock.
I love it. I absolutely love that song.
I love it. I just, another one of those ones, going nuts about it. It's just got that punch to it. And it could still survive now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh yeah.
if they released that song now, you can release now, it would still hold. It can still got a hold. You know, it wouldn't be something like
for me.
that.
It's timeless. Yeah, it's
It
just
is.
a great hard rock music.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's got that. You know, it could still hold up with today's music, without a doubt. I love that. And then they went into a drum solo.
And that is, of course, the powerful Steve Budgie Warner. Great drummer.
Oh yeah, definitely talented. Very, very, very talented. And it wasn't like a super long one, so it wasn't like a 20-minute, 25 minutes. So we were like, so they after a while they go, okay. It's probably a good maybe 5 minutes or something like that, or I don't know. I didn't time it, but to the point, to the punch. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? And when they did the drum solo, after they like coming into the drum solo, the guys came out and they went right into the medley. So, which is cool, and the medley started off with Rock Shoulders.
Yep.
And the first thing John Reed said, "Any Rock Soldiers out here?" And of course, the crowd goes bananas every time you hear Rock Soldiers. So they started playing Rock Soldiers as a medley, and then they went into Rock to Be Rocked.
Rock or Be Rocked. That's an 84 demo.
Yeah, and then they did one more, and I'm going to punch myself because I can't remember. That's bad. Now I'm losing my brain. You got it up there? Do you see it?
No, I've got the set list that only says was it Give It To Me Anyway? Oh, no, you already have that.
Yeah. I'm sorry. You can shoot me.
No, you can continue on. I don't remember what it was off the top of my head, but I will.
So that's bad.
I'm going to go on the FAQ.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody. Probably should have wrote it in pencil before we started this, because this is really live. So after that,
We Got Your Rock.
Yeah, thank you. Yep, I think that's what it was. We Got Your Rock, and then in the middle of that, they did most of We Got Your Rock, and then then they switched it right back to the end of Rock Soldiers.
Nice. Yeah, it was We Got Your Rock according to the video from the first show. So.
And I love that song too. So I'm like, I gotta forget that. So anyways, after that, they went into Do Ya. You know, the EL cover.
Who sang that?
Oh my God! You see, you're gonna kill me. Was it Richie? Now I'm gonna guess myself. No, it had to be Todd. I'm sorry.
It could be either of them. They could both nail it. So.
No, I think it was Todd. I think it was Todd. Sorry.
Yeah, because if Rock or Be Rocked was probably Richie, wasn't it? Because that's a hardcore. I mean, I love that song. That's one of the few Ace songs that there's actually naughty words in. So I would have thought that Richie would be singing
probably
that, and then We Got Your Rock. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Now I'm gonna get yelled at. We're both gonna get yelled at. Oh, you're gonna lose your Brilliant Comic card.
Nah, it doesn't matter.
Comic card.
It does not matter.
So, I know.
Do Ya obviously was.
Do Ya? It's been.
It was the one. It was the one single from Trouble Walking. So why not?
Yep. Yeah, they didn't. They didn't get it after that.
Great song by The Move.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's the single. It's the one that Kim actually knew. She's one of the ones she actually knew that night.
So she made it all the way through this set, and then finally, song number 15.
Oh, I know that. I know that song.
That was funny.
So the next song was Breakout.
Yep.
Now, this is where it gets interesting, because they both said, hey, when they heard Breakout, because they both did Breakout. Back in the days when,
Yeah, Richie wrote it.
So they were having a discussion on stage. Well, who's gonna sing it? Well, we fight about who's gonna sing it, and then they're like joking about it. And then he goes, well, talk and sing, because and then Reggie, because I can play guitar just a little bit. It was kind of like the joke, and everybody's laughing and stuff. So basically, what they did is they each took verses.
Nice.
And it worked out pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a great way to approach a song. That both of them, Todd obviously owned that song on the album. Richie co-wrote it and owned it on the demo. So how else do you do it? You share it. And
yeah, they did. And it worked out well. They were back and forth.
Nice to have a little stage banter as well to intro.
Yeah, it was funny.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. And then after that, they went into Remember Me.
Yep, another leftover from '84 that came back, and when did they record that one? That was on, was that on Trouble Walking, finally, I think?
I don't see. Now you're getting me. You're killing me. You're killing each other.
Again, there's so many songs in this Kiss
I
related
know.
catalog.
People are going to yell at us and yell at me. Oh my God, I can't remember. You can't remember that.
Yell away, can't remember that. But cool song. That was Carter Cathcart, I think. The guy in the Laughing Dogs wrote that. So
then the last song, I think, and Kim knew this one too, and she's like, Andy, you're probably not going to like this. And I says, oh, she goes, yeah, a lot of people record this kind of stuff. I'm like, oh, don't tell me Beatles, right?
Yep.
I know people are like, oh my God, you don't like the Beatles? I never understood the Beatles. I just never got it. People always say, oh, Kiss, the same words every time. Look it up. How many Beatles songs do they repeat the word over and over and over again? And so I just, it's not my generation. It's not my thing. I never understood the Beatles, so that's just the way it is. But anyways, they played Help Me, Help from My Friends, which they said I don't understand why they did it, personally myself, but the guy said it was personal for them. There were reasons why they did go Help Me from My Friends. I don't understand, but there must be something personal with them. Maybe, those guys are older, so they're probably Beatles fans anyways, but they could be more deeper things about it. I don't know, but Kim's like, yeah, I know this song, and then it's just from the Beatles, but I was thinking, man, it's going to be Beatles. Nope. Richie sang it, and it was no Beatles sounding.
It was like Joe Cocker sounding.
I turn around and look at Kim, and Kim's like, I look at Kim, I'm like, he sounds exactly like Joe Cochran doing this song. And she goes, yep. She wasn't happy about how it changed, but I'm like, I was, and Richie was really into it, and it was fun. Man, let's put it this way: Richie is the Paul Stanley of the band, really. Moving around, dancing around, making little things, doing little, he had the microphone. You'll see he had the regular microphones, but then he had one with the little stand, and he kept moving and shaking back and forth, and he'd grab it, and he'd do little things, and he'd take the guitar off, and he'd hang it, and do all these crazy things. And even at the end of the show, he turns around, and my buddy Dan, he's standing, and he in front of him, because actually I introduced him, to the guy, to the band, and he became a Richie fan. He's like, wow. Richie turns around and says, here, gives him Dan the guitar, and Dan's just like, at the end of the show, basically hands him over his guitar. So here's my buddy Good Dan holding his guitar going, did he just give me this, or is this kind of a joke? And at the end, he's like, here, Richie, here. And Richie's like, thank you. Gave it back to him. He had the whole guitar in his hands, It's pretty funny. So, but
I love that. Was that Richie's silver and black Les Paul? If it had been and it had been handed to me, I would have been out the door sharp. I love that guitar.
I don't think you're gonna get too far. He had two of them. One of them is the greenish one, and the one's the black one.
Richie's a showman. And some people hate on him because of how he is on stage, but that's what I like about him, because he's into the moment. He is just, people make fun of Yannick Gers and Maiden dancing and twirling on stage. So what? These guys love the music. If they're in there and in the zone, and that's just how their music comes out physically, cool, because it's great to see them enjoying it and music doing that to them. And that's why I've liked Richie. I love his voice. I love his stage attitude. I love the material that he's brought to the band. And, I own his solo CDs as well. So,
it's not taking away from Todd.
No, I own Todd's solo CDs too. So totally different.
Todd, moving around and stuff like that. And, saying stuff like that. But Richie's is really, really into it. He's doing a lot of extra stuff, and John's always been kind of, John does his part, and but he kind of stays more in the background.
Yeah, John's like a Cliff Williams, solidly in the back, providing the backbeat. He knows he's not going to hit a bum note all night, John Regan. He is just solid, reliable oak tree. He is there. Oak is the best wood for a reason, and that is what John Regan is on bass, with Budgie on drums. You've got that backbeat that is 100% reliable, on time. You let your front men, and that's Richie and Todd, have the freedom to do their thing. Todd is still a great performer, and while he doesn't move like Richie, they are different performers. And Todd's,
and it's fine.
Todd's is equally fun to watch and listen to as Richie, in my opinion. They're just different. They're just because they do different things.
Todd has fun too. It's just a different kind of, it's almost, apples and oranges, but it's a different apples and oranges, and it's fine.
We're not weighing one against the other.
No, that's what I'm trying. But they all work together, and they look like they're having fun. And from what I understand, they are having fun.
Yeah,
they're just doing this. I mean, literally, there are rockers who are their age that don't do this stuff anymore at all. There's no, I don't know, people, let's face it, there are people who are from those 80s and early 90s, they're gone. They're not around anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Totally gone. And these guys can still do this stuff, which is awesome, Even Charlie Farron said different from, he said the same thing. He goes, I was in a rock band at Fahrenheit. I did, the Joe Perry thing. Then I got out of this because I met somebody. I got married. I had 3 kids. And he says, I don't know if I could survive on this. So he went to digital, worked at this and this and that. He worked all this. He's all these big things. And then he retired from there, whatever. And now he's like, and now I'm back into this, doing this for fun. Because I can now, And
it's been the same with Punky Meadows.
He goes, I'm old. He goes, I'm old, but I'm enjoying I'm able to do this in front of you people. Not knowing that I could do this in front of people because people would want to see me. Yeah. That's the thing, and I'm glad that these guys can still do this stuff. It just blows my mind. This is like 80s, 90s, 2000. You're talking almost 30 years now. 30 years, and they're still, they still can play and they can still do it, and there's still some kind of audience to see them. I hope it gets bigger. You know what I mean? I hope they can keep going, and I hope they record an album.
Oh hell yeah!
I hope they can, and there's no doubt that these guys can. There's no doubt they can't put something together.
Oh, I just wish, if Ace is going to do anything with all those old demos, these guys have a right to do something with those old demos and go into the studio. They've already recut Animal. I think there's another one. I can't remember.
Do new songs. Don't even they can get rid of the other if they
do
can.
Half and half. Do half of the unused and half of the new, and just see where it goes. I'd love to see Todd and Richie writing together. And see where that goes, because
and John and everything else. I mean, it could have. I mean, I hope so. That'd be kind of cool.
This is a very special time to be a music fan. We've got Kiss on the End of the Road tour. We've got the Return of the Comet coming out and filling a void. We've got Ace working on Origins Volume 2 and a new studio album. And he's touring, and he's doing shows with Angel and Stars. I mean, come on, 2 bands from the 70s that never really made it. I mean, I was watching Matt Porter's feed the other night when Angel was playing. I was like, holy crap. I mean, this is a band that broke up 39 years ago. And here they are again. Punky came out of, essentially retirement. He retired from his day job, which he'd done after the music scene had failed, and is now back playing music. He sounds absolutely incredible. And to see Stars, I mean, a lot of current music fans will never have heard of Stars, and they had 3 extremely good albums in the 70s. 4th was but again, it's about the music, it's about the joy, it's about the look on your face when they do a song, Lost in Limbo or something, and these are the guys who originally wrote it, and they're still up there, and they're playing to an audience of whatever size. Obviously we always hope that they'll, be able to make good money out of the endeavor, but in terms of performing, those guys are getting to perform it to people who really appreciate it, because they're the ones who bought tickets to go, no matter how many they are. They know that those people are the diehards, the ones who are going to appreciate every single song. And the same goes for Angel. The same goes for, any of the bands from that era that still have enough members to be able to get up on stage and play that music. If that's what it's about. Music. Making music. Performing music. And these guys have rehearsed the hell out of it, and that's a big difference that they come out. And again, I've only watched the YouTube clips that are available, but I am impressed. After talking to John before this had even come to the stage of a single rehearsal, I'm impressed with how good they sound, how good they've leveraged the strengths of both Todd and Richie, and how they picked a set that I don't have a single criticism over. They didn't end with Rock and Roll All Night. We're good.
Well, all right. Now, I'm going to get into my complaints.
Okay.
My own.
All right.
And they're not bad complaints. That's the funniest thing about this, because my complaint is I wish they played Insane.
Well, yeah. There's always room for more.
And that's another thing. I wish, like everything else we go to see, I want more.
Mm-hmm.
I want more. I wanted more. I didn't want it to end. They could have played, I mean, we say that, yeah, I want to hear 10 more songs. I just wish it didn't end, period. So that's my biggest basic complaint of the whole night, is I just wanted more. That's it. There was nothing more to say to that. I just wanted more. And I hope they keep changing, a couple things up here and there, or maybe they add more at times. And I hope I'm lucky enough to see him again if they come around to an area that I can get to, or so I would love to see that, And that's my only complaint. It's not even really a complaint because you want that for every band you go to see. So now I got to give these guys a shout out for now, and not only just because it was so awesome, but here's the next shout out I'm going to give to these guys is that they are so humble.
Mm-hmm.
And the way things going nowadays with meet and greets and the money these people can make and all this stuff. So what do these guys do? Say over the microphones, everything. A free meet and greet after the show. We'll sign whatever, and we'll take pictures with you guys at no charge. You know what I mean? Seriously. How these days are going with meet and greets, right? Am I right? I mean, they could charge money for a meet and greet, and people would still do it. But what do these guys say? No, hey, we're going to do this. We'll come out here. And basically, after the show, people stood in line. They had a table, and they waited about maybe like 10 minutes for them, which was cool too, right? So it wasn't like they made you wait for an hour or two and then come out. Came out like 10 minutes later, and then people brought. And seriously, they had, I know you might have seen them, but they had printed out cards, and they look like this. We'll try to lead it. It says return a comment. They're like, it's paper, but it's a little thicker. And it said on the table, it said free, just grab one and we'll sign them. To you, which is,
that's
awesome,
really
right?
nice. I mean,
and
awesome.
then if you had albums and pictures, whatever, I had a picture. I just thought Richie thought this was amazing. I had a picture and I had it. It's laminated, but Richie was like floored by his own picture of himself from another show. He was just like totally floored by it. And of course, they remember me from last year, helping them bring them down to, the party, well, Richie wasn't there, but the FX, somebody does. Richie remembers me from before. And I got to give a shout out to Richard Gordon from Maine. Because, the band has been out, so there's really no products of them. But Richard Gordon from Maine made this super, awesome poster. I mean, I'm going to try to, because it says return on a comment. He did all the thing, and he's had all the guys.
Nice. Oh, that's fantastic.
And I saw him. He's like, "Hey, Andy, what's going on?" And I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" He's like, "Well, everybody talks. What'd you bring to sign?" He's like, "Oh, I made these posters, right?" I'm like, "No way, that's cool." And he's like, "Hey, you want one?" I'm like, "Really?" So, Richard, I owe you. I got some stuff for you, and you left. I owe you a couple things, and you left. We'll catch up, though. We'll catch up. And they signed, and then they took pictures. You go behind. He took pictures. I mean, the guys are so grateful, humble. I mean, just awesome. So it's just really, really cool. And I'm gonna give a shout out to all the people that were there, that were very respectful. Like they had some things they had signed, but people. There wasn't security pushing to, hey, come on, like cattle. It was really kind of casual. They talk to you, say hi, sign the stuff, and then you just kind of moved out yourself. It was fine. It was awesome. Just totally, totally awesome. Can't thank the guys enough. And like I said, I hope that they come around again and they do more stuff. So if you get a chance to see them, if you're in your area, go see them. I'm serious. Go see the guys. It's awesome.
Brilliant.
It's wicked awesome.
Well, thanks a lot for the review, because it's important that people do get to hear from a fan what it was, rather than someone. I could easily type up a review or a report from a show that I wasn't at, but this is someone who was at, and there's the joy, the passion, the enjoyment, and everything else on the side that you just wouldn't get by watching a YouTube video. So, Andy, thank you so much for sharing that, and the other stuff from New York with us. But let's, before we wrap up. You went shopping this morning, did you?
Oh yeah, today is. I mean, it's like feast or famine. Like this last couple of weeks.
Today is record store day.
Today is, it is. It's officially April 13th. Hi Kim, I know she's working. Happy birthday! I'll just give her a shout. It's her birthday today too. Is that? Yep. Today is record store day, and guess what came out today?
Stuff that'll be listed on eBay within minutes by a lot of people, because every time I've gone down to Amoeba on Record Store Day, everything's gone. So I don't even bother anymore, because there's always someone willing to gouge you on eBay. They just don't limit these things at the places I go. They don't let.
Actually, they did. There's a place. It's called That's Entertainment where I live, which I didn't even know. Another friend of mine, she actually said, "Hey Andy, man," she goes, "I called the place and she had pre-ordered hers." Which I thought was weird. How can you call it record day if you don't go down to a record store and buy something? You actually get it in the mail. How does that work out? I don't know. I guess that's the way things are nowadays. But I'm like, man, I got to do it the old-fashioned way. I'm going to go down to the damn place and see if they have one. Well, guess what? It's record day, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Beautiful.
Mr. Ace really, I got it's and a guy that was there. It's 2,100 copies of this. It's the Spaceman Returns Record Store Day limited edition picture disc, plus an 18 by 24 poster. So it's from what I got, it was $27.99.
Which means in San Francisco, that's going to be $39.98 if I go down to Amoeba and they still have any, because what I've found for our local ones is there's still a lot of record store sale stuff from previous years for sale, and it's all at a horrendous markup. So I'll have to try.
Oh, really?
I love that cover, and I did buy one of the LPs that had that cover, but it got a seam split in shipping, which really sucks. But nothing you can do on it. So I want the picture disc, and hopefully it'll be in better shape.
They had two, but the guy's like, "Well, yeah, I'm not really supposed to be selling two." And I'm like, well, I'm not.
Cool. I'm glad that they do that, because I wish more.
Well, this guy did. I'm like, well, I'm not. I wasn't. I'm not. I don't do that. I was gonna. Some of you said, hey, man, I really wanted those. You know how I am. I'd be like, hey, just enough to pay for what I paid for it, and if I got to ship it, that's it. I'm not a gouger.
Yeah,
that's
totally.
not my style. And I always make sure I give it to somebody that I know that's not going to do that. That's another thing too. That's why I've always done my whole life. I'm just not that way. I'm not an eBayer. I don't go sell stuff. I mean, yes, I sold some stuff later. If you see my Facebook, I had some like doubles and triples stuff. I kind of I'm getting married, so a couple extra bucks to pay for.
There's a difference.
Cake.
I'm one of those people who would buy two and put one up on eBay. Hands up, I'm one of them. But when I want something, it's a different. They're eBay scum. But when I do it, I could justify.
Okay.
Complete hypocrite.
Okay, then you can't say nothing then. But I sold some stuff recently, got a double or triple, but people are like, oh my God, Andy, that's like cheap. I'm like, well, I'm just you're a fan, you want it. I gotta just I mean, it's not like it's not 70s stuff, and it's not I got doubles and triples. After a while, what am I gonna do with X amount? I mean, I got stuff, but I mean, what it is what it is. But anyways, it's 2019. And I actually went to a store. It's not even a record store. It's like a hobby store, really. And the guy only had like 2 boxes of records. That's it. And it was, 2 of these in there.
Yep.
And he took one of them out. He's like, because I was first in line, and I left. I went, did some stuff. I came back, and there was another guy in front of me. He's like, what do you want? And I'm like, what do you want? He's like, I want this record and this record. I'm like, well, I don't want what you want, so it's good. We kind of laughed at each other, because people go, as soon as they open the doors, you're talking to everybody, you open the doors, and everybody just,
Yep.
go in there. And the guy who opened the store goes, what do you guys want? And the guy's like, and he goes, oh, don't worry about it. You guys will get them. I'll pull them. You guys are standing here. You guys have been standing here for, a half hour, 45 minutes? Don't worry about it. I'll pull them. You guys got them. I mean, that's the way it should be. We're there first in line, you should get them.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I was going to get the second one case somebody really missed out that really wants it. I know as a fan, because there's only the Ace Frehley, because the other guy looked it up. The guy looked it up. There's only 2,100 copies made of this. So crazy.
It's cool stuff. That's a nice way. That's a nice way to wrap up as well.
And Kiss, didn't you want to talk about one little other subject?
Vinny, I don't want to talk about Vinny.
Okay,
I'm going to.
Mentioned it, but I don't really care.
Yeah, I mentioned it. Obviously, right now there is apparently an announced full shred show in Nashville on June the 7th. However, Vinny is also scheduled to be at Days of the Dead in Las Vegas on the weekend of June the 7th. I've heard a few people suggest that one or the other may be a hoax, so everyone hold your horses. Whatever the case, Vinny, I wish you the best. I'm going to shoot an email over to his lawyer and try and find out what the real case is, because if there is any hoax about performing live or Days of the Dead, you don't want people getting all uptight and angry if there's nothing to get uptight and angry about. So I would just say, for anyone reading that news about these events, obviously the show in Vegas was advertised on Vinny's website, so that's one thing. But I would still rather get confirmation of all this information from someone I trust, to be perfectly honest.
And my thing is just buyer beware.
Yeah, and I'm not taking news out of a Facebook group that's secret. That's just bullshit. I mean, either it's a press release for everyone, or not to some 116 psycho minions. So I want real news. And again, buyer beware.
That's all you can say is buyer beware. I mean, it's your money, it's your thing. If you do it, then you can't complain. This is what I just did. My only thing is buyer beware. But the other thing is, man, if you've been burnt and then you get burnt again and you're burnt again, if you pony up money and you get burnt, you can't go online and complain. Oh man, I got burnt again, and burnt again, and burnt again. Stop doing it. Just don't do it. I mean, that's it. So any story with him, just buyer beware. That's all I gotta say. Just
I hope it all happens and it all goes well.
That's what I'm saying. If the guy does it, he does it.
That's my only hope. I have no other hopes. I just hope that he's happy, number one, and anything that he announces comes to fruition and goes well for him, and I'll leave it there. But I still want to get confirmation out of which event is real. Are they real? It just seems a very odd way to do business, this kind of announcing things just to 115 people. And everyone else is banned from it. Well, of course, other people are going to hear, which always raises the question of the veracity of the original, notifications when they're coming from such a dubious source as a Facebook group that bans everyone. It's just weird. It's just odd. And again, I wish Vinny nothing but the best. But I've been burned with Memphis. I'm not going. I have zero interest if he's going to be performing Speedball Jam. Fuck that. I have no interest. If you listen to that CD, zero interest. I am a proponent for the acoustic, play little bits and pieces of songs and talk. Vinny talks and tells great stories, and I don't care if he's saving them for a book. Just do that. It's easier. Play half of a song, a bit of a song, then talk about what it means. For Speedball Jam, that's noodling. I can sit with my guitar on and do that for myself. I can do 160 notes a second. But
the only thing is, I still, even though what happened, and most people know what happened, or there's a lot more in the dark side that I'm not ever going to get into all the way. Going to play a higher road about all that, but I still give Vinny the respect for what he did. Mm-hmm. The songs that he wrote for Kiss, his time in Look It Up, and playing on the Creature Store and doing a Look It Up. I give him respect for that. There's no doubt about it. But
and All Systems Go, which is beautiful. Love that album.
But other than that, I'm just I'm staying away. nope. I've had my deal. I had my stuff. I'm good.
Well, you
No,
have to
burnt.
remember, Andy, you're not a normal fan when it comes to talking
There
about
I am.
Vinny. No, you're not, because
Yeah, I am.
you have had a different experience with Vinny directly.
I know, but-
That colors everything. And again, we don't want those details. Ignorance is bliss in this case. So, if you go. I hope it happens. Hope you enjoy. But again,
if you do enjoy, if it happens, enjoy it. Like you're saying, enjoy it. It's a buyer beware. You got to be buyer beware. And I'm not even discouraging people about it. I can be like, just don't do it. I mean, just buyer beware. But the same buyer beware. Don't complain if you don't get what we paid for. I mean, you can complain, but if you've already gotten burnt once or twice, the third time's a charm. Third time's a charm for what? That's it. That's all. I don't even know what else to say.
You know what I'll say? I'll say that's it for today. Andy, thank you very much for joining me to recount New York, Return of the Comet.
Oh.
This was all about Return of the Comet, actually. I was dying to talk to you about it. I know we'd spoken several weeks ago when you decided you were going to be going to the show. But, your passion and enjoyment of that show came across, and that's what it's about. And I'm sure John, Todd, Richie, and Steve will, be very appreciative that you enjoyed that show so much, and that we're excited enough about this project to do another episode, going song by song and talking about the whole event. That's what it's about.
Yeah, and like I said, if they're in your area somewhere, go see them. Don't hesitate. Just because Ace is not there, don't think it's not going to be a great show. It's wrong. It's awesome.
Yeah, just think of it like the Second Sighting album. Ace doesn't need to be there.
Yeah. Oh, it's true, I guess, right? Yeah. It's just awesome. All I can say is I had a big, like this. This is all it counts for me. Big giant smile on my face. This is right here. This is real. That was awesome. That's all I got to say. That's all. It's off.
And that's the end. So from Andy, from myself, thanks for joining us. And
thank you, Ray.
We'll see you on the KissFAQ podcast next time. Bye for now.
Woohoo!
Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we've broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.